The Woman in the Rain. The storm hit the city like a warning from God, rain slashing across the sidewalks, thunder rolling over the rooftops of Charleston. And right there, in the flashing headlights of passing cars, a man named Ethan Cole, a single dad of 32, stood frozen beside his 8-year-old daughter, Maddie. They were running late for her appointment, drenched, tired, and stressed. But none of that mattered the moment Ethan saw her. A woman in a wheelchair, sitting alone in the downpour outside the expensive glass-front restaurant called Bristol and Stone. Her hair, dark, long, tangled by rain, clung to her cheeks. Her hands trembled violently on the wheels. And her eyes held a kind of collapse, as though she had just watched her entire world split in half. "Dad," Maddie whispered, gripping his arm. "Why is she outside? She looks so cold." Before Ethan could answer, the restaurant doors slammed open. A sharply suited manager stepped out, face pinched in irritation. "I told you already," he snapped, leaning toward the woman. "This is not the place for you. We're fully booked. And even if we weren't, your situation would disturb other guests." The woman's eyes lowered, humiliation staining her expression. Ethan felt something ignite in his chest. And this, right here, this moment in the storm, is where our story begins. But before we continue, hey viewers, if you're watching this right now, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, The Kindness Chronicles. It helps us tell more stories that matter. Now, back to the moment that changed everything. Ethan didn't care that he looked like a drenched construction worker wearing cheap boots. He didn't care that the restaurant cost more than he earned in a week. All he cared about was that this manager stood over a helpless woman like she was less than human. "Hey!" Ethan called out, striding toward them. "What's going on here?" "This is none of your business," the manager snapped, crossing his arms. "It is now," Ethan said, stepping beside the woman as if he had known her all his life. "You told her she can't come in because she's in a wheelchair?" The manager's lip curled. "Our establishment maintains a certain standard." "Your standard is discrimination," Ethan said, voice sharp as lightning. "The ADA exists. Maybe you've heard of it?" "I'm not arguing with a soaked laborer," the manager hissed. "She's not allowed inside, end of story." The woman closed her eyes like she wanted to disappear. Ethan kneeled beside her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" Her voice came out soft, shaking. "I just wanted dinner. That's all. I haven't been outside in weeks." "What's your name?" "Isabella," she whispered. "Isabella Hart." Ethan didn't know that name. He didn't know what half the world knew, that Isabella Hart was the richest woman in South Carolina, heir to the Hart banking empire, though no one had seen her publicly since the mysterious car accident that paralyzed her half a year earlier. But Ethan knew one thing. He wasn't leaving her here. "Maddie," he said calmly, "take my phone. Call the police. Tell them someone is violating the ADA and refusing service to a disabled woman." The manager paled. "You wouldn't." "Watch me," Ethan said. "Sir," Isabella whispered, gripping his sleeve, "please, don't cause trouble. I really can just go home." "No," Ethan said. "You deserve dignity. Everyone does." The manager suddenly switched to fake charm. "There's no need for authorities, let's, talk inside." "No," Ethan said. "She doesn't want to eat here anymore. And I don't blame her. We'll go somewhere decent." Isabella's lips parted. "We?" "Yeah," Ethan said with a soft smile. "If you're okay with that. We're going to get you dinner. A warm one." He didn't know why. He didn't know what was pulling him toward her. He just knew he couldn't walk away. 20 minutes later, they were inside a little local diner with squeaky chairs and mismatched tables. The waitress, without hesitation, rolled Isabella to a comfortable booth and brought her a blanket heated in the microwave. "Thank you," Isabella whispered, overwhelmed. Maddie slid in beside her father. "Dad always helps people," she chirped proudly. Ethan stumbled with embarrassment. "Not always. I just do what anyone should." Isabella stared at him, something unreadable in her gaze. "Most people look away." "Not good people," Maddie said. A silence hung in the air, soft, warm, like the rain tapping on the windows. As they ate, Ethan learned bits and pieces. Isabella lived alone. She had no family nearby. She had been paralyzed from the waist down in a hit-and-run that still hadn't been solved. She almost never left her home because of how people stared. "You helped me tonight," she said suddenly, voice cracking. "You didn't even know me." Ethan shrugged. "I don't need to know someone to know they deserve respect." Isabella looked like she wanted to cry. "You have no idea what that means." After dinner, Ethan insisted on driving her home. Her house was huge, an estate, really, but she seemed ashamed of it, apologizing for the size like she was trying not to intimidate him. Inside the foyer, when he turned her wheelchair toward her living room, he noticed something. A wall of photos covered with dust. Her, walking. Smiling. Standing beside men in suits. Shaking hands with presidents. Who was she? Isabella noticed his confusion. "I used to be someone important," she whispered. "But that feels like a lifetime ago." "You still are," Ethan said gently. "Your value didn't disappear because you can't walk." Isabella looked away quickly, as if his kindness hurt more than cruelty. "Before he left," she said, voice trembling, "why did you help me?" "Really?" Ethan smiled softly. "Because my daughter is watching. And she deserves to grow up in a world where people are kind." He didn't know it yet, but that sentence, those simple words, would change his future in ways he never imagined. As Ethan and Maddie stepped back into the rain, Isabella watched from the doorway, hands against her heart. Behind her, a tall shadow appeared, a man in all black, watching them through the window. His eyes narrowed. His voice was a whisper of venom. "So. She's finally letting strangers in again." He snapped a picture of Ethan and Maddie through the rain-streaked glass. "Good," he muttered. "This will make everything easier." The storm rumbled overhead. And the real danger had just begun. The man in the shadows. The following morning, Ethan woke to pounding on his apartment door. With Maddie at school and the day off from construction work due to weather, he expected a neighbor or a delivery. But when he opened the door, 2 detectives stood there. "Ethan Cole?" "Yeah. We need to speak with you about Isabella Hart." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Is she okay?" The detectives exchanged a slow, heavy look. "She's missing." "What?" Ethan choked. "Missing? I just saw her last night. I drove her home." "That's why we're here," one detective said. "You were the last person seen with her." Confusion stormed through Ethan's head. "I didn't, I had nothing to do with." "We're not accusing you," the detective cut in calmly. "But we need to know everything that happened." "Everything." Ethan told them the story from the restaurant to dropping her off at the estate. They asked questions. He answered them all. But their faces remained tightening masks of concern. "Please," Ethan said, voice rough. She was scared. Lonely. And, she didn't deserve more pain. One detective sighed. "We agree. Which is why we need your help." They showed him a grainy photo taken through rain-spattered glass. Ethan froze. It was him, standing in the storm outside Isabella's mansion, but taken from inside the property. "Someone was watching," the detective said. "And we believe whoever took this photo may have abducted Ms. Hart." Ethan's breath caught. Oh God, no.